They say the truth has a way of waiting, quiet, patient, steady, as an old dog on the porch, until someone's lies start running too fast to hold. Mine came back the same way they left me, loud, reckless, and asking for help. But by then, I'd already set the truth loose. And there's no catching it once it's out, walking in daylight. My name's Alex, and I was raised in one of those towns you don't really notice unless you're born in it. A patch of Connecticut, not too far from anything, not too close to anything either, where the air always smells faintly like coffee from the 3 Dunkin' Donuts within a mile of each other, and folks know your last name before they know your first. My father, Robert, spent the better part of his life teaching algebra to teenagers who groaned at his dad jokes but remembered them anyway. My mother, Susan, was the quiet sort, ran the library over at the elementary school, and believed no child was truly bad, just badly understood. Growing up with both parents working in the school system meant I couldn't sneeze without someone calling home about it. We weren't wealthy, but we did okay. 3 bedrooms, a kitchen that always smelled like cinnamon, and a backyard where Dad tried, year after year, to coax tomatoes from the stingy soil. They never grew, but he kept trying. Then there was Emma, my sister, sharp as a tack, president of every club that needed one, and the kind of student who teachers talked about like a myth. I was quieter, more interested in Warcraft than world history, and taught myself to code before I figured out how to talk to people without apologizing first. But none of that really matters, not in the way this next part does, because this story didn't begin with betrayal. It began with a moving truck. I was 6, and that was the day Sarah came into my life. 3 houses down, one afternoon her family pulled in like a gust of wind. Her mama, Lisa, all smiles and spark, convinced my shy mother to help them unpack. They bonded over Stephen King novels while we, me and Sarah, were more or less shoved together under the pretense of making friends. She was this little blonde girl with glasses too big for her face, looking like a baby owl. I remember thinking she was loud. She thought I was weird. Then she saw my Nintendo 64, picked up a controller, and whooped me at Mario Kart so hard I forgot to be shy. That was all it took. We were friends before the second race started. Now this is the part where my hands still tremble a little just remembering it. If you're the kind of person who believes a heart can break clean, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't. It splinters. Quiet at first, then all at once. It was a Tuesday night in March. I was neck deep in work, one of those big software deployments that either makes your career or buries it. I'd been at it for 14 hours straight, running on caffeine, off-grammed Hot Pockets, and whatever was left of my sanity. Around 2 in the morning, my phone died. Completely gone. Charger missing in action. Later, I'd find out that Mr. Whiskers, my one-aimed menace of a cat, had knocked it behind the radiator. Classic. I needed to message my team lead Jake about a critical bug. Sarah, my girlfriend, my best friend of over 20 years, was asleep, so I figured I'd use her phone real quick. We knew each other's passcodes, always had, no secrets. Or so I thought. That's when it all came crashing down. Right there on the lock screen, a message from Chris. Her colleague, you might remember him, the guy from her marketing society. The preview read, "Miss you, baby, can't wait for..." And I didn't need to see more to know something was wrong. Something deep in me turned cold. The kind of cold that creeps in from your spine and settles behind your ribs. I opened the messages. I wish I hadn't. Hundreds of texts, pictures, hotel confirmations, whispered plans made behind my back while I cooked her dinner and rubbed her shoulders after a long day at work. Turns out, Chris wasn't just a friend. He was her department head, 15 years older, married, with kids. They'd been having an affair for nearly the entire time we'd lived together. All those late nights, not overtime. All those marketing society reunions, not reunions. And then there it was, can't wait till you finally leave him. Last night was amazing. He's so clueless. Still planning that stupid proposal. Yeah, she knew. My sister had spilled the ring secret and Sarah played along like she didn't know a thing. I just sat there, on the IKEA couch we built together, laughing over weird Swedish names at the time, and read every line like it was written to destroy me. Then, like some bizarre Greek chorus, Mr. Whiskers knocked something off the counter. It startled her awake. She walked out in those cat print pajamas I got her for Christmas, rubbing her eyes like nothing had happened. I held up her phone. Her face didn't break. No shame, no panic, just irritation, like I'd interrupted something. What followed didn't feel real. She didn't deny it. Just said Chris was her soulmate, and she'd been waiting for the right time to tell me. The right time, after 2 decades of friendship, 5 years of love, a whole life. I didn't yell. I laughed. The kind of laughter that's soaked in grief. The kind where your body doesn't know if it's breaking or surviving. I asked her, gently and then not so gently, if any of the past few years had been real. She told me I was being cruel. Cruel. I told her to pack a bag and go, where it didn't matter. Her parents, Chris, the night sky. She said, "But it's 2 a.m. I said, "Should have thought about that before sleeping with your boss for a year." She left, and Mr. Whiskers curled up on the arm of the couch like he'd seen it all before. The next morning, I changed the locks, and I changed something else too, something in me, something I didn't know had a lock, until the night it was broken open. But here's the thing, Reddit, this isn't even the worst part. This isn't the moment that truly shattered my life. What Sarah did next, that's when everything went sideways, and the mess got way deeper than I ever imagined. Remember how I mentioned her dad, Mike, was a scary ex-military type? And how her mom, Lisa, was like a second mom to me? How our families were so tangled up it felt like we were one big, complicated, flawed tribe? Yeah, she had a nuclear option, and she pulled the trigger. You might recall I said Sarah was a master at talking her way into people's good graces. I severely underestimated just how good she really was at manipulation. The day after I kicked her out, I retreated into hermit mode. I called in sick to work because, honestly, who could face a computer and lines of code after that? Shout out to Jake, my team lead, who just told me, "Take all the time you need, no questions asked." I turned off my phone, locked the world out, and spent the day stress cleaning my apartment. Mr. Whiskers supervised from his cat tower, occasionally giving me judgmental glances that somehow made me feel worse. Then, I found one of Sarah's hair ties wedged under the couch cushion and had a minor meltdown. You know, your typical breakup stuff. Around 7 p.m., my sister Emma started spam calling my landline. Yes, landline, because cell reception in my building sucks. Welcome to Connecticut. When I finally picked up, she exploded. "What the hell did you do?" Turns out, while I was obsessively organizing the spice rack, Sarah was busy spinning a story so twisted it could have been a Hollywood script. She'd spread her version of events to both our families, our friends, and basically anyone who'd listen. Her story? I'd been cheating on her with a woman from work. Totally false. The only woman I talked to at work was Linda, from HR, who was 60, brought photos of her grandkids to meetings, and had zero interest in drama. Then, she claimed, when she confronted me, I went violent and kicked her out in the middle of the night. The only accurate part? Middle of the night. She said I'd been emotionally abusive for months, controlling who she could see, monitoring her phone, isolating her. The irony? It practically knocked the wind out of me. And then, the grand finale, I had stolen her mom's family heirloom jewelry. We're talking pieces passed down for generations, worth around 50 grand. That last accusation? That's what truly broke everything. Because Lisa, Sarah's mom, had actually noticed her jewelry missing about a week before all this blew up. Sarah convinced her to wait before reporting it, saying she'd look around the house. Guess who had a key to their house? This guy. Guess who'd been there? Multiple times. Unsupervised, because they trusted me like family. Also, this guy. I called my parents, no answer, tried Sarah's parents, blocked, mutual friends either blocked me or sent me hate messages. The only person who didn't abandon me? Emma. Mostly because she knows, in her words, that I'm a stupid dumbass who can't lie to save his life. And then came the Facebook posts. Holy hell, the Facebook posts. Sarah's mom wrote this long, heartbreaking post about betrayal and how you never really know someone. She tagged my parents. The comments? Merciless. People I'd grown up with turned their backs overnight. My mom finally called the next day. You know what's worse than your mom being mad? Your mom crying and asking why you did it. She didn't even give me a chance to explain. She just assumed I was guilty because Sarah would never lie about something like this. I tried telling my side, mentioned the messages I found, but Sarah had covered her tracks telling everyone I was making up lies because I'd been caught, and since I was too shocked and stupid to take screenshots before she deleted everything, I had no proof. Then the police showed up. 2 officers, stern faces, said they were investigating a theft, asked where I was on specific dates, which, by the way, coincided perfectly with the times I'd been at Sarah's parents' house, helping her dad with his computer. They had security footage showing me entering and leaving on those days. I explained I was there because I was dating their daughter and had been a family friend for 20 years. They took notes, looked skeptical, and said they'd be in touch. 3 days later, while I was trying to fix bugs I missed at work, they came back with a warrant. Ever been arrested in front of your whole office while Linda from HR looks on in horror and your team lead spills his coffee? 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. I spent 3 nights in county lockup. 3 nights. My cellmate, Big Mike, was actually a pretty cool guy. He shared half his bologna sandwich and went on about his theory that pigeons were government drones. Couldn't argue with him. Still, that's not exactly where I pictured myself at 27. I got released, surprise, surprise, no evidence of theft. But by then, 1. I'd missed the critical deployment window at work. The project I'd been leading for months? Completely derailed. 2. My face was on the local news as a suspected jewelry thief. 3 neighbors gave me those looks, you know the ones. 4. Mr. Whiskers was pissed because his automatic feeder ran out. Thanks for checking on him, Emma. When I got back to work, HR called me in. Linda couldn't even meet my eyes as she said that. Due to my unauthorized absence and the negative publicity, they had to let me go. Even Jake, my team lead, who'd been super supportive, just stood there, looking uncomfortable. So there I was, jobless, friendless, most of my family thinking I was a thief and an abuser. My rent was due in a week, my savings were draining fast. The only living thing that still trusted me? A one-named cat who'd spent 3 days stress shedding on my black work pants. But you want to know the really messed up part? This wasn't even rock bottom. Not yet. Because Sarah wasn't done with me. Not by a long shot. After getting fired, I basically became a hermit, couldn't afford the apartment anymore, so I moved back in with my parents. Yeah, the same parents, still unsure if I was a thief. Most awkward U-Haul drive of my life, let me tell you. The first few weeks were rough. My dad hid his wallet whenever he left for work. Subtle, Dad, real subtle. Mom cried randomly while doing dishes. My old room still had pictures of me and Sarah on the walls, which was perfect for my mental health. The only constants: 1. Mr. Whiskers, who my parents didn't want at first, but fell for after he kept bringing them dead mice as gifts. 2. Emma, who took leave from her medical residency to come home and, in her words, stop me from turning into a full-time Reddit troll. 3. My therapist, Dr. Chen, shout out to sliding scale payment plans. Remember how I said this wasn't rock bottom yet? Well, here it comes. About a month after moving home, I got served with a civil lawsuit. Sarah and her family were suing me for the value of the jewelry plus emotional damages. Their lawyers sent a thick package of documents, including character witness statements from our mutual friends, painting me as the worst person imaginable. That night, I had what Dr. Chen later called a complete psychological breakdown. I found myself sitting on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. eating stale Oreos and Googling how to move to Alaska and live in a shack. Mr. Whiskers sat beside me the whole time, occasionally stealing Oreos. Rose before Emma found me there the next morning. Took one look at the Oreo massacre and went into full big sister mode. Borrowed money from her savings for a lawyer, made me shower and put on real pants, dragged me to the gym because apparently endorphins are important or whatever. Then she did something that changed everything. Made me write a plan. Not some vague get my life back thing. An actual step-by-step guide. We called it Operation Phoenix. Yeah, we're nerds. But take pride. Was everything perfect? Not even close. I still had bad nights, and I still skipped the greeting card aisle at the grocery store. Folks I grew up with would glance my way, then look past me like I'd turned invisible. But slowly, I was becoming myself again. Or maybe someone better. And then, just as I was starting to breathe again, Sarah knocked on my door. It was a Wednesday evening. Ordinary. Quiet. I'd just wrapped up a long coding sprint and was about to order Thai food. Pad Thai, extra peanuts, the comfort meal of choice. Mr. Whiskers was doing his usual pre-dinner dance around my ankles, pretending he wasn't hungry while plotting theft. Then the knock came. I checked the ring cam, best investment I ever made, and there she was, Sarah. Designer coat, smudged mascara, eyes like she'd been crying for days. For a second I considered pretending I wasn't home, but Emma and Dr. Chen's voices echoed in my head. Face your ghosts, don't feed them. Besides, Mr. Whiskers had already meowed loud enough to blow my cover. So I did what the old me would never have done. I hit record on my phone before I opened the door. She asked, "Can we talk?" I let her in, not because I wanted to hear her out, but because I wanted to know just how far she'd fallen, and Mr. Whiskers was already judging her from the cat tower like a little furry executioner. Then she cracked, full-on sobbing, and then she confessed. Yes, the affair with Chris had lasted over a year. Yes, she stole the jewelry to help pay off his gambling debts. No, she couldn't return it. He'd already sold it. She panicked, lied, blamed me to protect her image. She even said it, "I'm sorry for having you arrested, for ruining your job, your name, everything." And then, get this, she asked if we could get back together. I just sat there, letting the phone in my pocket record every broken syllable while Mr. Whiskers chose that exact moment to clean his butt in the background. Dramatic timing, 10/10. When she finally stopped crying, she looked at me like I was supposed to say something. All I said was, "Thanks for telling me, you should go now." She blinked. "That's it?" I nodded. "Yeah, you should probably get a lawyer." Her face when she realized what just happened, that right there was the moment the storm finally cleared. The moment Sarah walked out my door for the last time, I picked up the phone and called Maria, my lawyer, my bulldog, my champion. I barely got 3 words out before she said, "Did you get it recorded?" When I hit play, she actually squealed. I'm not even kidding, loud, joyful, courtroom warrior squeal. Turns out Connecticut is a one-party consent state. That little audio file? A golden ticket. And what came next was, frankly, beautiful. First, we submitted the recording as evidence, both in Sarah's civil suit and in the countersuit I'd quietly filed for defamation and emotional damages. Second, Sarah's family dropped their lawsuit faster than you can say, "You should have raised her better." Third, my countersuit moved forward full steam, Maria driving it like a train with no brakes. Fourth, the company Sarah and Chris worked for launched a full-blown investigation into fraud, with both of their names at the center. Fifth, the people who once ghosted me, friends, classmates, neighbors, started crawling back with half-hearted apologies. And I didn't know the whole story texts. But you want to know the best part? It was during one of the legal meetings where we played the recording that Lisa, Sarah's mom, finally heard the truth. Her face when she realized her daughter had framed me, stolen from her, and let me sit in jail for it. I'd love to say I didn't feel anything, that I was above it, but I'm not. I felt relief, I felt validation, and yeah, just a little bit of satisfaction. That was 2 months ago. Since then, Sarah and Chris are both under criminal investigation. I won my countersuit. We're still ironing out the settlement. My parents apologized so many times I finally had to tell them to stop. My old friends? They came back. Some slower than others. Mr. Whiskers? Got a brand new cat tower. It has 3 levels and a hammock. He earned it. The money won't erase what happened, but it's helping. Emma's been repaid, with interest. I started a therapy fund, named it after Big Mike and his government drone pigeons. Bought a new car. Goodbye, faithful old Civic. More importantly, I got my name back. My reputation. The local news that once aired my mugshot? They did a follow-up piece on false accusations, on resilience, on starting over. Even got a few job offers. But I'm staying put. My current company stood by me. That means more than a bigger paycheck. So here I am, a year and 4 months later. 28 years old, single, employed, mostly healed, living with a one-eyed cat and a whole lot of clarity. It's not the future I imagined, but maybe it's the one I needed. The best lesson? Your worst chapter isn't your last one. It doesn't matter how far you've fallen. What matters is what you choose to build from the ashes. Not every comeback has fireworks. Sometimes it looks like finding peace in small routines, reclaiming your name one conversation at a time, and knowing, deep down, that you're not who they said you were. You're who you choose to become next. If this story hit close to home, or reminded you of something you've lived through or fought back from, you're not alone. There are more stories just like this, raw, honest, messy, and powerful, right here on this channel. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and check out the next story we've got waiting for you. Because healing isn't a straight line, but it sure helps when someone else lights the way. Thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one.